Episode 9 of When the Stars Gossip starts with confirmation that Ryong and Eve have been stranded for 40 hours. The space station is about to pass over Seoul, but given there's a problem with the power, it's not going to show up to the naked eye. Jae-ryong is happy though when he finds out there's a signal from the freezer and races down to the lab, where Min-jong is already there. The fertilized egg has now split into 16 cells within the morula, and the freezer is sending real-time images back down to confirm all of this. All that's left now though is bringing the freezer back to Earth, but of course that's easier said than done given the situation they're stuck in. He's willing to pay whatever he can, but as we know, money can't be a substitute for astronaut safety, and there's nothing he can do. Go-eun shows up at Mission Control, where she's livid that Ryong has been left behind. Dong-ae shrugs it off, telling her to go home and wait, but she refuses to do so until she speaks to someone more senior. This comes in the form of Tae-hui, who's absolutely chewed out by Go-eun for breaking protocol, given the astronauts are supposed to let the tourist on board first ahead of everybody else. As for the astronauts, they're saved from the ship and brought aboard a plane bound for Korea. They have lots of water, but the astronauts feel dizzy and are struggling to acclimatize to Earth's gravity. Their muscles haven't atrophied though, and they seem to be okay, but there's obviously still the stigma surrounding leaving Ryong behind. Aboard the space station, Ryong and Eve only have 13% oxygen remaining, and the rescue ship has still not launched, let alone getting close to reaching them in time. The problem is, anything they send up will take up to 7 days to reach the space station, which isn't ideal. The group formulate a plan to reduce this down to 1 day, coming from launching the rocket directly at the space station when it passes the country. If they could do this at the right speed, then it may allow them to reach in time, but the G-force would be insane and it would be racing through space at a crazy speed. Because of all this, coupled with the electronics on board the space station being out, it's risky and would require manual docking too. However, if they could attach 2 robots' arms, it could help them out a bit. In the midst of this, we also get drama with Ryong's moms who end up setting their kitchen alight. The absolute Muppets decide to throw water at a fire on the stove, where chicken is sizzling away, and they're lucky the whole place doesn't explode. They stand and watch the flames until Go-eun shows up and saves them. Nobody has rung the emergency services, but Go-eun ends up getting burnt on her arm as she extinguishes the flames. While getting patched up, she relays the good news to the moms, telling them a rescue ship is being sent up and Ryong could well be alive. Dong-ae is actually going to be the man heading up to bring the pair back, and there's a heartfelt goodbye between him and Tae-hui here, as Dong-ae admits that he really loves Eve and cheating on her constantly, including kissing Tae-hui inside her apartment was just a mistake, apparently. While the other astronauts make it back to Mission Control, everybody ends up twiddling their thumbs and hoping for the best as Dong-ae races for the station. One of the robot arms is lost en route, but despite traveling ridiculously fast, it somehow attaches the arm and instantly stops the shuttle. Dong-ae manages to make it though, attaching the craft and heading inside the station. Dong-ae eventually finds Eve and Ryong, who happen to still be alive. When he pulls open the insulated tent, he finds them both naked and together, which is broadcast to everybody back home too. Everybody is shocked, and despite the extreme cold that surrounds them, Dong-ae manages to drag the tent and bring them on board the rescue shuttle. He also gets them both dressed up in suits, complete with oxygen, to save their lives. The Maru heads back to Earth, but the control system malfunctions on the way back down. The trunk separates and they manage to launch the parachute, but the whole rocket is burning up. Thankfully, they land in the water, which instantly plunges the heat levels down. It also, unfortunately, causes the comms to short-circuit temporarily too. All 3 of these characters survive, because of course they do, and the rescue mission is a success. So I'm guessing the second half of this show is now going to take place on Earth, because so far, based on the first half of this drama, this has been a really poor showing. In fact, the story is going completely off the rails. The main driver here stems from bringing back the embryos to Earth, but we're doing so for the slimy, unlikable Jae-ryong, so it's hard to really get behind this. Meanwhile, we have Dong-ae embarking on his bizarre redemption trip, trying to get back some goodwill and grace after cheating on Eve with Tae-hui. And that's before mentioning how he kissed her inside Eve's apartment. Then we come to Go-eun, who feels like a spare part in this show and has had absolutely nothing to do for the past 4 episodes. Hopefully she'll have a bigger impact now, but aside from those flashbacks, we've seen nothing between Ryong and Go-eun in terms of their relationship and ties. The science has been hit or miss at best with this one, but here it goes out the window. The idea of shooting a rocket at breakneck speed at this station and then using a flimsy robot arm to slow it down instantly is just preposterous. There isn't even much in the way of thrust to slow the shuttle down, and the whole sequence is clumsily out together. But then this is dwarfed a bit by the worst scene in the episode. The mom starting a kitchen fire, then throwing water on the fire and just standing around like headless chickens. It's such a stupid way of showing their characters and does them no favors whatsoever. And even worse, Go-eun comes out of nowhere and uses a fire extinguisher, then gets burnt, all so she can tell the moms that Ryong is okay. What was the point in any of that? Hopefully tomorrow's episode can improve, but this is shaping up to be, unfortunately, an early contender for one of the worst K-dramas this year.